And with that, I am going to turn the microphone over to our wonderful, good provost, Dr. David Plotkin. And David is going to talk about how we as a university are specifically going to help you in accomplishing the good that we all seek in educating our students. So David is going to bring us good news about the results of our strategic planning. Dr. Plotkin, thank you.
Good morning. I tried several years ago to Google jokes and strategic planning. And I tried that again this morning. And there are just not a lot of jokes that are very funny about strategic planning. But before I get to the concrete actions that we're going to be taking in response to our strategic planning process, I did want to try to follow up the eloquence of the folks who have gone before me, all three of them in their ways, really shining examples of the use of language to inspire. And so I'm very intimidated. But I did want to remind us that this is Convocation, and Convocation is a calling together in order to celebrate. And celebrate is, to have fun, but it also means, at least according to the dictionary I looked at, to perform a sacrament or solemn ceremony publicly and with appropriate rites. And so while I want mostly for this morning to be festive, and I hope that's happening, I want us to remember, and I think we've just had an opportunity to do so, the solemn nature of the work that we do, and the influence, sometimes perhaps small, but still influence that our community can have on a world that is often too marked by bitterness and sorrow. So we should acknowledge with appropriate rites what we're doing, and I think Judy enacted one of the rites that we enact with our students, which is the rite of reflection. So we have actually this morning pledged to our students that we will help them to meet their learning goals, that we have defined learning goals for them that tell them what essential knowledge and skills they need as scholars, as citizens, and also as human beings. And at Marylhurst, we do that primarily through intimate learning communities, as you all know, guided by instructors, but communities that work together to contribute to the knowledge of the whole group. And the sum of these learning communities is our institution, a collection of people dedicated to increasing knowledge and compassion and ultimately good. I added that after I knew what Judy was going to say this morning. So we have an extraordinary collection of people at Marylhurst, which really makes a unique and wonderful institution. So that's something that we should be celebrating. And as part of what Judy and I do, it's really important that we recognize the debt that we owe you as a community, and really the debt that we all owe each other, and understand that what's best about any institution transcends the ringing of the bells or the everyday transactions and contracts that we negotiate. That the good that we do are really the moments that we have in classrooms where we facilitate connections between students and we ourselves connect to the students. So these are really causes to celebrate. And I don't really want to spend too much more time reminding you of things that you all already know. So now on to the most exciting part of this morning, which is to talk about envisioning Marylhurst. And some of you were a part of that process. And if you would raise your hand if you took part in the envisioning conference last January, that would be helpful. Really high, reach the sky, there you go. So last January, we held a conference and tried to get a representative group of faculty, students, staff, alumni, community members, trustees, together in order to think about, as Jer said, the past, present, and future, and where we should be going, particularly in the long term. And that conference resulted in 7 vision themes. And I will read those themes, although you can read them yourselves as you go out there and you walk up the pathway towards the chapel. They're all listed on those banners outside the library. So they are to embrace the founding mission and values of the university as established by the Sisters of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary, to educate the whole person, serve the underserved, promote interfaith dialogue, and engage in social action for the good of the community. That's first theme. Next, pioneer the integration of liberal arts and professional studies to support lifelong learning. Next, prepare students for a global society with a diverse faculty, curriculum, and student body. Ensure academic excellence and innovation by securing and investing appropriate resources. Expand student access by removing financial, physical, and social barriers to student success. Apply technology to advance innovative teaching and learning, build community, and increase organizational effectiveness. And finally, be a dynamic educational, cultural, and social center of the community. So those 7 themes we established as a community, and those are meant to guide us for the long term into the future. After that January conference in the winter and spring, many staff and faculty got together in work groups to translate those themes into specific goals and outcomes. And some of you were in those teams as well. By May, and it was a pretty intense process for the folks who were engaged in it, by May we had some defined outcomes and goals, and that was then handed over to the President's Cabinet to prioritize and translate into actions. So, I'd like to talk about some of the things that we are going to do in the next year or two. And I tried to figure out which of those would have the most direct effect on you. So I'm not going to go through all of the actions that we'll be taking, but if you are interested in the product of this process, it will be available on my Marylhurst for you all to look at. So I'll start with the facilities and technology. And this year, we will be spending a lot of developing master plans around our campus and about our technology infrastructure. In order to do that, particularly to upgrade and improve our technology, we'll be hiring a chief information officer. And one of the things that they will be responsible for, and one of the things that I know you all are really concerned about, is how we as a community communicate with each other. So one of the priorities for us this year has been to think about our electronic communications, particularly our email system. And as you know, we have initiated an email system for adjunct faculty using Google Email. It's our intent to ensure for you timely and reliable communication, and we will soon be sending all of our communication to you through that email. Now, understanding that this is a change process, we're going to try and help you to transition to that and provide help through the help desk and other means. I would want to say that this is the first step in a long-term goal of connecting the whole university seamlessly through a shared email platform. So although you may have an email address now that seems separate from your chair's email address, that will change over the course, hopefully, of this year. And I'm really praying that no technology person is cringing in the background at that, but that's, I think, what our goal is. Regarding students and student services, I know that many of you will have students in your classrooms who are struggling to navigate their way through the university, or in many instances, they're struggling to navigate their way through their lives. And often the burden of that falls on you. So some of the things that we're doing to help you is to consolidate and coordinate advising so that students know that there's a single place to go to for answers, and you know where that is, so that if they have questions, you're not kind of feeling flat-footed and you know where to send students. And we also know that, that negotiating their lives can include emotional crises and sometimes mental illness. And that is a difficult thing for faculty, particularly if you're faculty who are just coming here one night a week, to handle. And I would want to applaud the way that I know, because I see the instances of the way that you all handle these circumstances. I want to applaud you for how you are compassionate and caring towards some of these students, but it is a burden and not one that I think you expect when you walk into a classroom. So in order to lighten that burden, we're going to be enhancing our psychological counseling services through the hiring of a person to be a counselor on campus. One of the things that we heard very clearly in the process was that we as a community want to be more diverse. So to that end, this year we're going to be joining the Making Excellence Inclusive initiative of the Association of American Colleges and Universities, in order to marry our concepts of quality and excellence with our desire for a much more diverse community. And I'd invite you to go to the website of the Association of American Colleges and Universities and check that out. In terms of academic programs, we've pondered this morning how our work contributes to the common good. And as a community in January and for the last 8 months, we've been thinking about that, about these actions in relation to our mission. So one of the things that we're going to do, both to support academic programs and also to connect them to the mission, is to think more intentionally about service, both about service projects and themes for the whole university, and also how we can incorporate service learning into our curriculum. To that end, we have hired a coordinator of service learning, and we're going to be calling together a committee to work on service generally for the university. We're also exploring the development of a doctoral program, first for Marylhurst, possibly in leadership, pursuing a feasibility study for a Center for Interfaith Dialogue, and seeking to enhance our ability to prepare students for a global society, partnering more intentionally with the Pacific International Academy. One of the things that I've heard recently, and I've heard often from you, are a number of needs and desires. And I think we have, over the years, tried to meet those in as systematic a way as we can, but I also know that we haven't done as much as we could. So one of the positions that we're going to be adding to the university is an assistant dean for faculty development. And that position will be focused on the professional development of faculty, the support for instructional improvement, and one of the first things that I hope they will help me to do is to evaluate our faculty systems and processes from top to bottom to understand how we can support you better. That means looking at all aspects of our on-campus and adjunct faculty model and thinking about how to make it work better and how to change it where it needs to be changed. I think that's good enough. I do invite you to look on My Marylhurst on the website for the document and provide feedback to me, or actually send your feedback to Judy too. I'm sure she'd love it.
I never answer my emails, but go ahead.
And I'd like to end prosaically, unfortunately, but I just want to thank you again. I know that giving up a Saturday is a sacrifice, but we really appreciate your being here and mostly appreciate the work that you do. And I'm not sure how to say that in a way that you really understand how sincere we feel it, but you'll just have to trust me that we do. So the logistics of the day is where I'm going next. And I think for the next few minutes, we want you to, if you haven't had a chance to get an extra cup of coffee, do so, and spend some time at your table talking with each other, because that's probably the most important outcome of this day, is for you to connect with each other.
Say one thing about the faculty rooms over in Marion for our agents.
I would be glad to say just one thing about the faculty rooms over there in Marion. Let me see, four things, or there are 4 rooms. We have, last year, dedicated spaces for faculty, adjunct faculty, to use as offices that include computers, phones, and other supplies, and a place for you to meet with students that isn't in the middle of the commons. So we invite you to use those. If you have any questions about them, or you want something to be included in those rooms, please contact my office and we will take care of that.